Hacker voice. We're in.
We're in. So, isn't it like time to start a show or something? We supposed to be starting a show?
Are we starting the show?
I think we're starting a show. It's Geekly Reveal. How y'all doing today? Once again, it's me, it's your boy, it's your host Dom, aka Brother Dom, all over the internet, aka For Broco, aka Hot Pilgrim, aka Tuxedo Flask, aka Trill. And once again, I am joined by the leanest, the meanest, the coolest, the smoothest. Would you like to tell the people who you are?
Hey everyone, it's me, Stephanie, aka Madam Mimosa, aka Steph Boyardee,
Hey.
aka Fancy Drew.
Hey!
How y'all doing?
Perfectly timed car horn in the back too, like almost like on the beat of what we're doing in some kind of way. I love it. That's the kind of life we live. We do dope shit here. How you doing today, Steph? How's your day?
It's been alright. It was a Wednesday. I was in charge of like all the assistants circle off taking notes for this one really big meeting on Wednesdays. And sometimes it can be really easy and there are only like 3 agenda items, and sometimes it can be today and there can be 17 agenda items.
That's sometimes they get you.
Sometimes they get you, and then you have to type them all up and send them all out and make sure they're all right, and then it's a lot. But so that was my morning.
Ooh, that's a Wednesday for you. That's
yeah.
Not a fan.
But you know, other than that, decent day.
Good.
Decent day.
It's good to hear. Had a decent day today too. I got my flu shot, you know.
Nice. As all good citizens should, to improve herd immunity.
Yep. I used to not get one, like not out of any like moral obligation. I just never thought about it. And I never got the flu. I got sick. I get sick every now and then, but for like 20 hours, real bad. So I think that's more of just a combination between not eating well, not drinking enough water, or getting enough sleep. And eventually all hits me at once, so I'm sick for like a day and then I get healthy. But last 3 years that hasn't happened to me, so maybe it's just where I used to work. The air was bad. Who knows? We got a lot to talk about today. Time to reveal some geekly stuff. We have a bit of a list, and it kind of hits everything that you'd want to
it's really
hear
a
about.
little bit of everything.
You know, we got cartoons, we got movies, we got video games, we got events, we got politics, we got tech. It's kind of politics. We got music. But you went to New York Comic Con. How about we just start with that? That's a good...
Sure, because a lot of these things are jumping off points from New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I hadn't really followed it too closely. So, how was your experience? Tell me about that.
So this is the first year I went for all 4 days. I had a pro pass, or like the industry badge, which was exhausting. Like any con is exhausting after 4 days, but New York Comic Con especially so. They had 250,000 attendees this year.
Is that
quarter of a million people there.
Is that more than normal?
Last time I saw a number for it, like when I was going in 2012, it was 100,000, and that felt like we were just like crammed to the walls. And I think part of that might be that, like, that same feeling continuing, might be that the part of the Javits is under construction, so there are more people in less space than there was in 2012.
Right. Well, we went like 2 years ago, right? 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, and I don't know what the numbers were for that year, but
it was also under construction, if I recall.
Yeah, everything in New York is always under construction. It's just like Pennsylvania.
Hey, and Ohio.
But it was a pretty good con. I spent less money than I had set aside for it, which I'm proud of myself for. Got some Christmas presents, got some little gifts for some people, got some stuff for myself. Went to some really interesting panels on Thursday. Thursday was like more of like an industry focused day, so there were some interesting panels about like queer comics and like graphic novels for kids and that kind of stuff that like helped me justify the fact that I was there, quote unquote, for work. And
but
like,
what are the requirements for like press, like or industry? Because you're there as like industry for like your job, so but like also like this too counts, I think.
Yeah, so like the industry badge is like you have to fill out an application for it that kind of justifies what ties you have professionally that it would be useful to you to be at Comic-Con. So like if you're in publishing like me, you can say like I'm going to be scouting for illustrators, or I'm going to be like going to panels about XYZ or stuff like that. Like if you're a librarian, maybe you're trying to pick up like advanced copies or like new releases or something that you can like get to your library. Like there's all sorts of, like if you're a podcaster, maybe you're trying to meet new people to make connections for guests. Like
okay,
and you have to give references. I don't know that they ever contact your references, but
it's good to be a legit person in general, I feel like.
Yeah, and it helps to have a corporate email address like I do. Like it's hard to fake a HarperCollins email address.
Sure, yeah, that kind of, yeah, you probably aren't making that up.
So basically, yeah, they go through all those, they approve what they're going to approve, and then you get a chance to buy like basically a discounted 4-day badge instead of the single-day badges that are open to the public.
That's convenient for sure.
And yeah, which is really nice. And on the first day, when it's like the huge crush, you get to go in through a different entrance than the plebes.
Oh, that's, look at you, Miss
Which
Fancy
is extra
Pants.
Nice.
Is this your first time going as like an industry professional?
Yes, and there's also actually a separate room that's like the industry lounge where you can chill away from the crowd if you need a place to sit down and there's nowhere. So they're small perks, but they're definitely worth it perks.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Good.
So yeah, so it was crowded, but I ran into some people I knew. I took some good pictures, which I still haven't put up on Facebook. I had to spray my own hair pink to be large with the stars on Saturday because my wig came yesterday.
That's the con crunch for you.
Yeah. And yesterday on Monday, I had gone to get my hair cut, just like a trim around the edges, and my hairdresser was like, "Do you have a rash?" And I was like, "Oh no, I thought I got all that pink spray. I was at Comic-Con this weekend."
That's good to have the concern though. It's good that they noticed.
Yeah, so like it was a fun weekend. I was a little bummed the day that I was Lars. My roommate was Anastasia, and like there's a lot more just like immediate visual recognition of Anastasia.
Sure.
And so a lot more people were like, "Oh my gosh, Anastasia, like can I get your picture? Oh, you look beautiful." Like, and I was like starting to like die inside. Like I just want attention. I'm here for attention. And I kept telling myself, "Stephanie, you made the dress she's wearing. The attention she's getting is because of you." Like
potentially, yeah, that's actually, yeah, that's almost the same thing. I mean, you're a great, I don't know if I want to say seamstress. I feel like you can do a few other things in the cosplay, but it's not always that you're doing the cosplay yourself, so saying a cosplayer isn't the same thing either. You're very talented at cosplay.
Thank you.
Let's put it that way. That's cool.
So I'm thinking of bringing Lars to a different con that's like a little bit smaller and has more like, I feel like anime cons versus like the New York Comic Con crowd is like a very different.
Yeah, that's true.
Demographic of like what costumes are seen, what people are, what fandoms are represented, like that kind
absolutely.
of stuff. So.
Interestingly enough,
I'm very proud of my Lars costume. So
it looked good. It would probably have helped if Steven Universe updated more regularly, and we saw Lars in his Lars of the Stars costume more than I think twice maybe. I mean, it was 3 episodes, but one was like that 2-parter where Stevani crash landed on some planet, so that's like 1 episode. So if you would have told me, "Hey, look at my costume," I would have been like, "Is that? I don't know what that is," just because I haven't gone back to rewatch these episodes because they're not old enough yet. But in a group that might be super awesome too, because the costume was spot on. I feel like.
Thank you. I'm very proud. It was like a last minute. Like I wore the white jeans to work today. They're super comfortable.
I mean, that's the best cosplays when you're like, well, I can just use this still.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it was a good weekend. I was Hal on Thursday, Sailor Neptune on Friday, Lars on Saturday, and I was going to be Sakura from Naruto on Sunday, but I had to make a compromise with myself that if I was going to go to the con on Sunday, I was not going to wear a costume.
Why is that?
I was like so tired on Saturday, and I was like, I have a 4-day badge, I should go to the con, and like my brain was like, yeah, but you paid less for a 4-day badge than you would for 2 days worth of separate badges, like just stay home and relax.
The compromise is just going casually, I guess.
Yeah, so the compromise was going, but not going hardcore.
I feel you. That makes sense.
That's how I talk with how I convince myself to do things.
I get you on that. You know, I think my con season's coming up. I think I might be doing some more next year, so got to get my costumes in order and the kind of stuff I want to look for and the plans and all that. I'm not sure what all I want to do at cons going forward, like what I want to go for besides cosplay. You know, I think I want to get more into, you know, like doing casting for video games and like doing more you know, like announcing analysis and that kind of stuff around it. So I know they always have game tournaments at these conventions in the game rooms, and it might behoove me to go and just be part of that scene.
Go do one of those.
Yeah, or, you know, just, you know, even if it's just to myself, like just to get the practice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also it's like, at some point, like, we're going to these conventions mostly to hang out with our friends in costume, so like there's got to be something else that we're doing while we're there to justify the fact that we're going to the con and not just hanging out with our friends at their house.
It's to see other people's costumes and so people see us. It is the attention portion, and my vanity will not. I have no shame in my vanity in saying I want to be seen. But I have an idea for a costume I want to do that's not any fandoms I'm necessarily part of, but I think it's a good joke, so I think it'll be cool.
Nice.
But I'll keep that off to you. You know, it'll be a surprise one day. So what else do we want to jump into, or do you have anything else on New York Comic Con, or do you want to go to next topic?
I don't think so. My big takeaway from New York Comic Con was that the first panel we went to on Thursday was Queer Comics for All Ages, and they had a PowerPoint playing in the background that had like different comics that they recommended on it, and I wrote every single one of them that I hadn't read down. And then on a whim, on like a manic kick on Friday night, I put every single one of them that I didn't like have and hadn't read on hold at the library. And so what happened is that 9 of them are ready to pick up tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to stop. I'm flying back to Pittsburgh tomorrow, and I'm gonna have to stop on the way to the airport at the library and pick up 9 graphic novels, because I don't know when I'll be able to get them next week.
I mean,
so it's just like,
at least they're a little bit, you know, lighter than some books, I guess.
Yeah, lighter, and I can read them all really fast on the plane.
That's a good point. I think I want to read some more graphic novels. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I saw actually Natalie Reese, who I'm bringing a comic of hers to you.
Thank you.
On vacation. I saw her on a panel. She was very funny. She was like what the coordinator was like the moderator was like, oh, what inspired you to put queer themes in your comics? And she was like, she leaned forward to her microphone. She goes, well, I like to draw, and I'm gay. I was like,
there you go.
That tracks.
It's a good plot line of a person to draw what you know.
Yeah, right.
It's unfortunate that that's the kind of question you should ask, because you could get some interesting answers or you could not. Because, you know, there could be like a, well, I didn't, you know, see myself kind of thing, or it could have been like, you know, I'm tired of this, that, and the third. Or you could be like, I drew my life. Like, I feel like there's many answers you could give that are all semi-obvious, but it's like, what's your reason versus the next person's? My question would have been like, why did you decide to do space cooking?
Yeah.
But that's not really on theme for the panel, I imagine. But yeah, I look forward to reading that. I like her work a lot. It's enjoyable to me.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, on the topic of space cooking, like, she did say that she likes to watch a lot of cooking shows, like cooking competitions or something that she.
Yeah, I don't think you get there.
Surprising to you.
I don't think you get that comic without loving cooking shows first. That'd be very, very weird. Possible, but weird.
Yeah.
Solid stuff. Well, that animation style, or not animation, but the drawing style that she uses is reminiscent, I think, of some of the cartoons that are currently on. And that makes me want to transition to
OKKO?
OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. They had a special. Did you see the special by chance?
I didn't see the special, but I saw the video that you sent me from the special.
Yeah, so I guess spoilers, but it's not. I don't think it's really part of the show. I don't know. I've seen a little bit of this show. I've talked about it a lot and not really gotten into it, which is complete failing on my part. Because it's 100% my jam from what I can tell.
I was saying, yeah, I do really want to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to watch it the next chance I get. I have more ways to watch it, especially legally now, so there's no excuse. But basically they did a crossover episode, like a Cartoon Network crossover, and from what I could tell, the basic gist of the plot was there was some villain that came in, froze all the heroes like in time, like in stone, kind of like the plot to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, actually, and it's the same type of thing. But the only heroes that were left were like current Cartoon Network property that are still ongoing, which includes OKKO, the character KO, Garnet from Steven Universe, Ben 10 from whatever the new Ben 10 is, and Raven from Teen Titans Go. Why they chose these specific characters from each of these shows, I don't know. I don't think Raven is necessarily the protagonist of Teen Titans Go, and I don't think Garnet necessarily is, but, they all have good chemistry, and I think, again, if I saw the episode, I would probably know.
I feel like they probably have useful, like, power sets for whatever the problem was.
Yeah, there was a mix of, like, whose powers don't clash with everyone else's and that kind of thing. And Garnet has, I guess Garnet has, like, the future vision and stuff, and she's, like, really empathetic, so that sets her apart from the other gems whose powers could be different. And, the Teen Titans, I guess Starfire is just, I guess with a character like Ben 10... Oh, you got the ambulance today, or fire truck, right?
That's a fire truck.
Good old New York City.
Love it.
I guess the issue would be Ben 10 has so many various powers. You got to find someone whose powers don't match his.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of probably the gems and the Teen Titans out. Yeah, but basically what happened was, they fought this bad guy and they got him on his back foot and they all attacked him. And the thing that really got a lot of people super, super hype was, the finishing move on this character where Ben 10 is Omnitrix, I think is the tool he has. It glitched out due to the bad guy, but instead of being able to pick the characters he knew, it was just all the past heroes from all of Cartoon Network history.
Like every Cartoon Network show, like
including like
Double D pulling back to throw a punch, like
Courage the
Cowardly Dog, like.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a reference to how he defeated some other bad guy. Was like just to switch through all his Ben 10 characters to do the super punch. But what he did was, like you were saying, it went through like Mordecai from regular show, Double D from Ed, Edd n Eddy. Like the very first cartoon, I think it's Moxie.
Like I Am Weasel.
Yeah, I Am Weasel was in there. Just in this Mega Punch, I think they went back to like, there's some character that everyone forgot about because it was the first original character Cartoon Network ever made. He was just like a bumper for the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, kind of like how Face was in Stick Stickly from Nickelodeon. He was just like that kind of character, but it went through all these characters and like went
all the way up through Finn.
All the way up through Finn, and Finn like delivered the final blow, and people were like, that's kind of like a teardrop moment because that was the last show to be done on Cartoon Network, And then it flashed back to a scene where a bunch of other people got unfrozen, and that included like I Am Weasel and whatever happened to Robot Jones, and apparently they did him with his like text-to-speech voice that the old fans loved instead of the human voice that the network made him have after a while. But while he was doing the Megaton Punch, it did like the cartoon theme that everybody knew, and like the background was kind of like
like
it was so good, and like the background swirl was kind of like the new Cartoon Network, how it's like those rainbow colored pastel boxes all over the place, kind of had like that sort of a swirl going to it. So it was just like a really nice thing to see. It was just a big old nostalgia bomb for all kinds of people. Like
it had like Dexter was in there, and Buttercup was in there.
Yeah, Monkey, Super Cow, from Cow and Chicken. I mean, there was just so many people who went by real fast at the end. But there's just a great
Garden Wall. I can't remember his name. The one with the pointy hat.
From what? Oh, Over the Garden Wall. Yeah, he was in there too. So it was just really nice to see that, and then they finish him off and fix the world like CN Town, which is like a throwback to something else, and you know, people said there's like some real tearjerker moments with Garnet and KO because like they just had really good chemistry. So it's just funny to see that all wrap around, you know, especially since I think Ian Jones Cordy, the guy who makes OKKO, got a lot of his experience from working on Steven Universe with Rebecca Sugar, but he did do a little bit of storyboarding on Adventure Time. But I think Rebecca Sugar got her big time from Adventure Time, and then did Steven Universe. So it's sort of like this guy who got his start and a lot of his career big ups from Adventure Time ended with like showing Finn like as like the last thing. I don't know. It just felt like a big wrap up. Like if someone said this is the season finale to Cartoon Network or like the series finale to the channel, I can't think of like a better way to have ended it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Johnny Bravo was in the punch too. Like it's just one of those things.
It wasn't. It was so many people.
Yeah. So go look it up. It's just really fast. It goes fast. It's the clips online on YouTube. I'm pretty sure from Cartoon Network channel, but I'm not sure where else. But if you grew up any time and had any kind of connection to Cartoon Network, literally from when it started to now, there's something there that you'll be like, oh, that was a character I liked. So, that just meant a lot to me to see, you know, all the millennials crying.
Yeah. Big feelings.
Big feelings. Some more cartoon stuff. The Harley Quinn teaser. I guess it's not a trailer, but it's just sort of a announcement. Did you see this?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing until I saw it on this list, so I went and watched it. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks like real self-aware. Like I don't know if it's like breaking the fourth wall aware, other than like this preview trailer. But I don't know, it looks pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know if the series will be.
Was that Margot? Was that Margot Robbie voicing her, or was that?
Or Tara? I'm not sure. But it was very. I'm looking it up right now. It's very like like making fun of the fact that like DC movies are like considered like very dark and grim, and like Poison Ivy as like her like quote unquote straight man, like neither of them being straight, but like quote unquote straight man.
She's the comedic
like,
straight
cutting
man.
down, yeah, like the comedic straight man, like cutting down Harley's excitement. But it, like very much, and I think this is something that's more in the comics than it is like recently than it ever was in like the original Harley Quinn, but she's very much become like a DC Deadpool.
I mean,
like
that makes
not
sense.
Like very like aware of where she is, you know, like aware that she's in a TV show or in a comic or something.
I mean, that makes sense if you take the problematic language aside. Isn't part of Deadpool's reason for being fourth wall aware? Isn't it like he's crazy? Isn't that the explanation?
I think so.
Okay, like
I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Like, language aside, I apologize, but and isn't that part of Harley's character too?
Oh, it's a completely different person. It's Kaylee Cuoco.
Kaylee Cuoco. Okay. That's why not? Why not? Why not be?
Fucking Christopher Maloney is in this.
Was he?
Alan Tudyk.
Was Christopher Maloney Batman?
He's not credited on the IMDb page.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be.
So I just looked up Kaylee Cuoco. Apparently she's in Charmed at some point. So I gotta go back and figure when that was. That's interesting. But yeah. So okay, cool. But it looked fun, you know. It seems like it's just going to be like a little bit of a goofy show, and Batman's in there being like, his over seriousness is still like a joke, which is always enjoyable to me. Fun. Yeah, Poison Ivy, like they're gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it. No, it's not. No, people aren't gonna like this, and it's like that kind of puts you in this weird spot where you either, like, if you're one of the people who gets outraged about stuff all the time, you're gonna be in a weird spot, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, this should be good for DC. They always tend to do their television stuff a little better than their movies, and you know, it'll be a good representation bump, especially if they actually point to the fact that there's like queer potential here. So
yeah,
they could definitely lean on that for some points. Yeah, let's stay in the DC universe. Let's jump on over to Aquaman. Right?
Yeah.
Aquaman, Arthur. I saw the trailer.
Arthur. Yeah, I watched it too. It was freaking long.
Trailer.
5.5 minutes or some shit.
Yeah, it was like half trailer, half like sneak peek sort of thing. I mean, it looks alright. Some of the special effects looked pretty bad to me, like pretty garish.
Yeah, there's like a moment, and also like I feel like his outfit's still a little too orange, like at the end. Like
I don't mind that. And the stuff looked like cheesy to me. but not like, oh god, it was like, okay, whatever, like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
That's not what's gonna sink or keep this episode afloat, or this movie afloat.
Hey.
Yeah, you got, okay, whoops. But it looked so bright and colorful, and like, without like, it was weird because like above ground looked dark and gritty to the way that like DC does, or like muted, not dark.
Yeah.
But then underwater, it still was. It had like a dark and gritty atmosphere, but it was bright and vibrant from a color palette standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a vibe I got like in the beginning. So they're going in like old Atlantean ruins, I guess, and so they're in this like desert thing, and it felt very The Mummy to me. Like I almost thought for a second, like, is Brendan Fraser in this movie, or is that Aquaman talking? I was like, oh, okay, it's Aquaman, but it's like the his and Mira's dynamic is similar to that, like
Sorry,
kind of like goofy
cutting
adventure.
in and out a little bit. Sorry, I think it's the sirens messing with your audio.
1 second.
No, it's cool. It's good old New York at the city that never sleeps. Or is that Las Vegas that never sleeps?
I think it's both. I'm gonna say the city that never sleeps because sirens are always going past their window. That's definitely New York.
That's really it's really too bad. That means bad things are happening.
Why is everything fire all the time?
I mean,
how can there be this many fires? The fire truck just went past the other way.
I mean, have you seen the world last week? The world is actually on fire. If
the world's on fire,
if literal fire started, like, would it be that much of a surprise if the world just actually was physically on fire instead of just figuratively?
I feel like that would be easier.
Yeah, it would be way easier. Because
although depending on where you are, California is awfully dry, and it's often literally on fire. So I don't know.
Yeah, but they keep the thing about California consistently being on fire is that there's very, very few people that are acting like the fires are a good thing.
True.
Like, even the people that will make the religious appeals like, oh, this is a punishment for something, they're still saying, yeah, but it's a bad thing that it's like, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not like, let's applaud because Kavanaugh's on the court now, like.
No, it's like, hey, the world's on fire. Oh, well, like, let's try to put it out. And maybe there's bad politics around it, but everyone's like, fire's bad, like, most people agree that fire's bad because fire's bad, rather than some people like, well, you know, maybe the fire just naturally happened and, like, we shouldn't be mad that the fire happened. That's just nature being nature. Actually, that's a better argument, though, because there's a level of spontaneity that we can't control. Yeah, we can't control the fact that fires are starting. So, no, that would be better, and that'd be a more defensible argument, but we wouldn't say to try to let it sort itself out, either.
Okay, you know what puts out fire?
Aquaman. Did you so I have a question for you. How do you feel about the humor in this? Because I've seen people complain that they call it Marvel humor, quote unquote, but I think that's just a current year argument. Actually, I think that's just modern humor.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like Marvel specifically. Like, Marvel got it from somewhere too.
Yeah, I'm not super bothered. I thought it was funny. Like, there's some funny beats, and like there's still like that kind of annoying juxtaposition, like the Lego movie juxtaposition of like a woman who clearly knows what she's doing and a guy who's like hesitant and a goofball.
Hey, at least with Aquaman, like, he seems to be like, you're specifically here because you're the power, you know, like.
Yeah, like, you're here to be the brains, or you're not here to be the brains, like.
Like, you do have a purpose here besides let the woman do the accomplishments and you get the credits. Like, no, you're here for something else, like.
Yeah, like, it did bug me. I was like, Atlantis has always had a king. And it's like, but do it gotta be a guy, though? Like...
well, probably not. I mean, yeah, I guess Asgard could have, like, female leaders. So, like, I don't see why Atlantis couldn't.
So, like, that was my only one little, like, nitpicky feeling, but, like, in general, like, I enjoyed the trailer. I don't know that I'll see the movie still, but well, I like the character dynamics.
I mean, we're grading on a curve here, I'll be honest, and compared to how long it took Marvel to get where they're at, and compared to how DC is in its ensemble movies, because Wonder Woman is, that's a good thing. So I'm not going to count it for like where the bar is at yet. Like how they treated Harley in Suicide Squad and the difference between Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman versus the other movies.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, like, hey, this woman's here, she's competent. She doesn't seem to be, like, specifically hyper competent in the way that's, like, setting, like, the standard where women can only be president if they're, like, omega awesome. Like, she's just good at what she does. And she doesn't seem to be, like, a sex object or anything. She seems to be running away just as much as Aquaman was. And there's some woman had a trident. I don't know who that was, but she was kicking some ass at some point.
That was Aquaman's mom. It was Nicole Kidman.
Okay. So, I mean, like...
Yeah, they're definitely
not brushing
badass women in this movie.
Yeah, not trying to sweep anything under the rug. I'm just saying if we grade on the superhero movie curve, we've definitely done worse recently with movies that are probably better. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Was that who's the bad guy? Was that what's his name? That's not Black Adam.
Black Manta.
That's Black Manta. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey. Cool.
Yeah.
His laser beams. That's fun.
He has laser beams. I think his head looks a little silly.
Oh, like, absolutely. Like his head was very silly.
That, like, seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, so that looks fun. Like the robots that were running through the buildings looked kind of cheesy. Like that CGI wasn't done very well.
Yeah.
Or it was practical and my eyes are just trained, or they haven't finished the post-production yet. But I'm like, this is a little bit weird. That's all right though. That's not what's going to destroy the movie's chances of being good. So it looked acceptable. So
yeah.
Cool. Other movie stuff. How about what's this Good Omens trailer? I didn't see anything about this, so please inform me.
Yeah, so I didn't see it until just like a few minutes ago. My roommate said, "Oh my gosh, did you see the Good Omens trailer last night?" And I was like, "I'm tired and I'm trying to finish this book and I don't want to watch it right now, even though I love Good Omens." So if you don't know anything about Good Omens, which I'm assuming you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a book by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's a comedic, like, satirical take on the end of the world about an angel and a demon who have been stationed on Earth so long that they have become friends. And they decide to put a stop to Armageddon when it's kicked off instead of aiding their respective sides, because, like, why would they want to mess with Earth? They're having so much fun there. And it's like, it's a send-up of The Omen to an extent. It's like, there are a lot of, like, references to other things that are very funny. But David Tennant is playing Crowley the Demon, with, like, 80 different hairstyles in the trailer, like, because they show him, like, during the Crusades and when they were together in Roman times and, like, when they met in the garden, because Crowley's supposedly the demon who tempted Eve, and Aziraphale was the angel the angel with the glowing sword at the like gates of the garden. And now Aziraphale's like a pudgy bookseller in London, and Crowley is the demon who, like, is trying to modernize temptation, and, like, instead of, like, tempting one guy to fall, like, over the course of a year by, like, convincing him to sleep with his secretary, instead, like, slowing down traffic for all of London so everyone arrives at work in a shitty mood and does something bad. Like, trying to, like, modernize temptation. And then he and Aziraphale get into, like, drunk arguments about whether The Sound of Music is a great movie and stuff like that. Like, and the trailer didn't really have... It was a fun trailer. It definitely set up their relationship very well. It didn't set up much of the conflict of the movie, except that they're trying to stop Armageddon, and it didn't really introduce any of the characters except for Crowley and Aziraphale, but they are kind of the heart of the story, so we'll see what happens with the next trailer. But it's an Amazon Prime show. I would definitely have to break my Prime celibacy and finally watch. Every time I check out on Amazon, they tell me, "Hey, you know you have Prime Video with your Prime membership," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't want to watch anything, so leave me alone."
Never heard the Prime celibacy, huh? That's interesting.
Prime virginity, I guess.
That's either way. I haven't heard the word celibacy in a very long time.
Just incel. Just completely.
Oh yeah.
Stupider.
Yeah, it's no, it just got stupider. It had a great genesis. Like many things in the world, it was created by a woman, and then it was co-opted by dickheads. So I don't know. I've looked into incel quote culture unquote before, just to know what's going on, like why are people upset. And it's like, yeah, this started with a woman who had the same concerns. Only women tend to not be sexist when they're blaming things. They tend to blame the patriarchy. Men are one step from that, and they'll blame women for things that the patriarchy did. It's fascinating to look into, actually. There's a real bad feedback loop. But yeah, many of the people in the incel community could really fix their whole situations if they would decide to be decent people. I mean, granted, we do live in a shallow society that does prioritize looks. That's true. And there are going to be people of every gender that are less, conventionally attractive, and that's true. But apparently, many of the people on these incel forums aren't the worst looking guys. Like, if they would stop hating women, they probably could not be incels if they committed to not being a piece of shit. Which is, like, way easier of a worldview, I think. But that's just me. I don't hate women, so maybe it is difficult. Fuck if I know.
It is difficult. Yeah. The one thing that I'm feeling a little, I'm gonna jump back to Good Omens.
Yeah, please do.
The queen of the redirect this episode. The one thing that I think is a little bit off about the Good Omens is I love David Tennant very dearly. He'll always have a special place in my heart.
Scrooge himself.
I feel like it has. I feel like it has a little bit of the Rent movie casting issue where they cast someone who so for the Rent movie they cast the original cast, which had a lot of cachet for the fans, but it didn't track to cast the original cast because they were all in their late 30s at that point, and so it was really weird to watch them playing poor 18-year-olds who didn't want to pay their rent. And Crowley is supposed to be a very dashing young looking, the kind of guy who could tempt you. And I think that some nerds have I feel like there's a limited number of people who are tempted by David Tennant as opposed to I don't know, I don't want to say Chris Evans, but someone who's more run of the mill attractive, I guess, as opposed to a nerdy attractive.
I see what you're saying.
Does that track?
It's let me
I
look
think.
So,
and I think even if he had been cast in the role 10 years ago, when he was the prime of his Doctor Who, fame, it would have been a little different. I just think he looks like he's a little old and pointy for it now, when I was in high school, I dreamed of Johnny Depp playing the role. Now I would shoot myself if Johnny Depp played the role.
Sure,
but
sure. Well, it's a critique on society, whenever we cast somebody as let's say lust, we always make them a hot woman.
An object of lust rather than...
Well, yeah. So it's nice to see it as a guy.
Rather than the actor of lust, yeah.
He could play that middle ground of I'm somewhere between the object and the progenitor of desire and lust and temptation. Plus, a Scottish accent is tempting to a lot of people anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So if we're modernizing it, we can modernize the tropes too.
Yeah, I feel maybe a Ben Barnes or someone might have been a little bit more.
Ben Barnes, huh? Who's that?
He played Prince Caspian in the Prince Caspian movie a long time ago, and also was Dorian Gray in the Dorian Gray movie that they made in Britain a while ago.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He's just very, kind of a fantasy attractive, kind of he has that Cillian Murphy cheekbones and pretty eyes, kind of.
Should have been Ben Schwartz.
Oh my god.
Who's I guess kind of cute, but seems like he knows more. His ideology is time to tempt some people. This might not work, but it could.
But we could try.
Oh, jeez. What else? What else we got?
What else we got? Let's move on. What do you want to say about Venom to me?
I just wanted to know if you've seen any reviews now the movie's out. Have you seen anything about this?
No, the only I mean, like, I've seen reviews. I've seen a couple people. Like, I have one friend on Facebook who's like, Venom is the greatest rom-com of our time, and I was like, okay.
People love that doing that. That's funny.
But like, I haven't seen a single review that's genuinely positive, and most of them are just qualifying Venom making out with Eddie. Like, they're like, oh, but Venom was possessing Eddie's girlfriend at the time. But Venom was the one who had the idea. It's like, what do you want from me? Do you want me to ship the Goo Monster Man?
With everything, yes.
With Tom Hardy? Like, I'm not gonna see the movie still. I'm still not gonna see it. Like,
I've heard a lot of people say that they enjoyed it, but like at no point was it like a quality movie. And I think that's what we're starting to like. I think we're starting to see a lot of divides between, like, people were like, "Oh, look at Rotten Tomatoes. Who do you trust, the audience or the critics?" And I'm like, are the audience rating it like on the scale of like how good it was or how much they enjoyed it? Because if you watch like a lot
those are two different things.
Yeah, like I watched this guy online who I don't know if his scores get counted as critics, but he seems like an enthusiast. You know, he's just watching it and telling you what he thinks and talking about it. And he's like, yo, this movie was stupid, but I couldn't stop laughing the whole time. Like, definitely go out and watch it. It'll be a fun time. Like, here's, like, parallels to the comics. Here's why Venom being goofy is a good thing. It's not, like, shot well, necessarily. The plot doesn't make any sense. Kind of is redundant. But it's enjoyable, you know what I mean? And you could do both those things. You could really enjoy a movie that's not good. See The Room, you know? But The Room is obviously bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone can,
like, it's good.
Yeah, everyone can point to the deficiencies in that. So trying to say that The Room is a good movie, technically, you'd have such a hard fought battle, you know. But you can say you enjoyed it. Whereas Suicide Squad, someone can sit there and break down all the structural flaws to you, why things didn't make sense in the context of DC, why it didn't make sense in the context of itself or the new DC universe. People still be like, yeah, but I think people are being paid by Disney to give it bad ratings. You're like, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just think it's terrible. Like, it's objectively bad by these objectives. And I would rate it very poorly because of that. Would I see it again? Yes, I'd see it again. I'd eat McDonald's again. But at no point can I act like, yeah, McDonald's is good for you. Like, no. It's not good for you. It's shitty. But it tastes good and it's fun.
Like, I really genuinely enjoyed watching the latest Power Rangers movie. The one that had, like, the gay Yellow Ranger in it. I can't remember any of the actors. But, like, I genuinely freaking enjoyed that movie. Was it a good movie? By no stretch of the imagination was it a good movie. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, you can these can both be true.
Yeah, like, so that, if that's what you're hearing about Venom, like, that actually makes me want to see it more than, like, hearing reviews that are just like, it's alright.
Yeah, I mean, I really, yeah, it probably was alright. I think it depends on what you're looking for, you know what I mean? Expectations make a big difference, you know? So yeah, that's all I just wanted to talk about with that. I just wonder if you saw anything from it. Let's stay on the trend of spooky things. Okay. This is a stretch. Overwatch's Halloween event came up, so that's news that I feel compelled to talk about. So new skins and whatnot, so that's pretty good. It looks alright. I wish they didn't like show them to us like up until they came out.
So that it was like a big reveal on the day.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have like a surprise, but that said, I don't have a complaint with it. It's all fun and games. Like, it's not important, you know. I like the skins are good. We have, you know, Sombra's, Junkenstein's Monster's Bride, Wrecking Ball, and like a big old jack-o'-lantern mech. Soldier 76 is like Slasher 76, so it has like a hockey mask and just looks like a bad guy. Fair's like a headless horseman, so she's invisible. But all her armor's there, but like her body isn't. Nice perk when she dies as his skin. The parts just fall down instead of like her just falling out of the sky, like ragdolling how characters do. The parts of the armor just scatter. So it's like, oh, they put a little bit extra work into it.
Nice.
Moira's a banshee. Doomfist is Doomfish. Looks like the swamp monster is what he is.
Yeah,
so we're calling him Doomfish. No, they're not letting us do that. It's not official. They're like, it's a swamp thing. I'm like, that's Doomfish. And then there's like just a recolor of like Widow, and then McCree. And then May got one. It's like a pumpkin themed outfit, and her little ice blaster, which if you've seen the little videos about it, it's an improvised weapon. But they'll put little like jokes and stuff on it. So her canister, instead of like condensed air, it's a little pumpkin spice container. So that's cute.
Gosh.
It's just like a cute detail that's like whatever. Like the only people who are gonna ever see this is people who like play as her when they're reloading or looking at the character model. But nice touch, you know. And there's like different emotes and sprays and stuff like that. And then and you know there's the new Lego deal coming out, so we see like a Tracer and a Bastion Lego. That's pretty cool. Nerfs and buffs happened. That's, you know, if you care about the esports stuff of that or like the perks of that, you can look these up. I don't want to. That's not the focus of this show, so I won't go too deep into it. More Funko Pops. There's Witch Mercy, Cthulhu's End. They both look great. They're kind of expensive. They'll probably drop in price. And then, yeah, they kind of announced the new information for Overwatch League next season, which it will start February 14th, so Valentine's Day. Interesting.
Happy Valentine's Day.
But starting a little later this year, there's now 28 teams, I believe, or no, teams will play 28 games, is what I mean. So they're going to play every team in their division twice and every team from the other division once. So now teams will either have 0, 1, or 2 games a week, as opposed to always 2. So this gives people more chance to prevent burnout and also see their team's home city more often. They moved All-Star Weekend to the middle of the season instead of the end, which people like, and playoffs has changed. So they took a lot of feedback, and it should be a much better experience for players and viewers alike next season. And yeah, so I'm excited about all that. That's the Overwatch news blast for the people who care and that know me.
Overwatch news time.
Yeah. And then Mega Man 11 came out, other video games. It's pretty nice. It's 2.5D, which means like 3D models on a 2D plane. Think the side-scrolling...
2.5D.
Yeah, so think the side-scrolling portions of a Crash Bandicoot level, where you can only really go left and right, and you can do platforming, but it's a 3D model, so stuff like that. Kind of like how Mighty Number 9 was, except this game's actually good. The music kind of isn't as great as people are saying, but there's different mechanics. People say it's a nice, solid buy, so check that out if you want. Any other game news? Not that I can think of. I mean, games always happen. Nothing too fancy. Lots of different games coming out. I think The World Ends With You comes out in a couple days on Switch. Twooey. So, you know, mixed reviews on that because it uses the iOS controls, which are usable. They're not preferable, but they're usable. Yeah, so lots of game stuff. I started playing Hearthstone. I don't know if I told you or the
You did
audience.
not.
Yeah, so audience, I'm playing Hearthstone now because I figure why not give Blizzard all my time and attention. But it's a fun little card game. It's I'm not going to get too serious into it. Just something that I can do in like my spare time. But I have some friends helping me out, like learning how to play it and what decks to use and stuff like that. And apparently that's what everybody does. No one really theory crafts. That's something that only advanced people do. So that's kind of fun to know. So I picked up on that and played my first match against a human today, and I won.
Nice.
Wasn't ranked or anything, but it was very cool. Thank you. You know, so fun little game. I recommend it. It's free to start, which means, well, it's free to play. So you have to like buy your booster packs and stuff if you want, but you can also just grind out coins and get stuff in game. I have not spent any money on the game yet, but I have a very competent beginner's deck, which can be used for long. So, you know,
nice.
It's pretty fun. I like it. It's something to do. It has charm. It's all based on World of Warcraft lore, so I don't know any of it unless it was in Heroes of the Storm. Like, I know who the mage character Jaina is, but I don't know, and I know who Illidan is, who's like a devil or a demon. I don't know what he is. He's a bad guy. All these other characters popping up. I'm like, I don't know who these dudes are, but that's the guy who voices Reinhardt, and that's the guy who voices Junkrat, it sounds like. That's all I got. It's a wild ride. I'm not doing myself any favors with this community, sorry, but, you know. Fun little game, That's all the game news. And I put Netflix arrivals on here. Is there anything that you've seen you want to watch on Netflix? Every month they add stuff.
I really need to. I really want to watch Hilda. I don't know how recent. I don't know if we talked about that last week, but they had a booth at Comic-Con, and it just looks so freaking cute.
It really does. I have it on my list. I as soon as I saw that it was coming to Netflix, I put it on my list. Like as soon as I was able to. I have a comic of it that I haven't read yet, but it's totally up my alley as far as animation style and premise. So, gonna watch that. And
yeah, I'm super into it.
The stuff that I saw on like a Netflix this month thing, Zack and Miri Make a Porno is on there, which holds a special place in my heart because it's set in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's filmed here, but it's explicitly set in Pittsburgh. Their high school's mascot was the Monroevers, the zombies, I think it was. Because why wouldn't it be? They definitely, there's a scene that I'm like, that's definitely in Monroeville. Like they do at least a drive capture, like a drive-by capture of something. I'm like, oh, because there's like I don't know if it's an ammunition store, like an army surplus store, but I knew where it was at. I'm like, oh, that's like near the mall. That's cool. And one time while they're filming one of the scenes in a coffee shop, some Yinzer comes in talking about Roethlisberger. He's like, rough and tumble football. He's wearing like the jersey. He's like very clearly drunk. He doesn't realize that people are like
filming around him,
like near him, like within his his eye shot. He can't see them. But it's a fun little thing. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm sure there's probably misogyny and homophobia in the movie. I'm not going to advocate for that. That's a shame. Like that, I don't remember so explicitly, but I'm assuming that it's in there. I'm probably right. But it's a Seth Rogen comedy. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Like it's all right. Go in with an open mind. The premise is funny enough, I think, on its own. But also Black Dynamite came out. That's the other movie that I saw. That really like, oh shit, Black Dynamite's such a good movie. Like it's a great parody of blaxploitation movies from that period. I remember. Do you remember the Super Bowl where the Steelers lost the Packers?
Yes.
Yeah, that sucked. But that day I watched the movie 3 times back to back because every time we got halfway through the movie, more people would come over to our apartment, so we just kept playing it over so people could see it from the beginning. And it was on like 3 times. So I recommend going to go watch that. Very entertaining movie. It's definitely a parody. So, nice. And before we get into a topic that might actually get us talking a little bit, I'm gonna finish off with the Google event happened, I think yesterday or the day before. So
they killed Google Plus, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that was necessarily an announcement from yesterday, but something that they probably did yesterday. Yeah, Google Plus was kind of. Google has this thing where they either make something that dominates the world or something that nobody uses, relatively. Google Plus was one of those things. So if you have a YouTube, you probably have a Google Plus account by necessity. By act like you don't know. Not you, but you know, the royal you.
Yeah.
But yeah, they announced a lot of stuff. A lot of like machine learning type things that are to help the user in a way that's like they already had it's not that now they're going to start collecting your data. It's just like if you put data into this or it had your data already, it can like do machine learning. But also the kind of machine learning such as, it'll take, like when you take a picture, it'll take a burst of 3 pictures or like a few, and it'll only save and process the one that's the best. So if it like detects that somebody's eyes are closed or something, and it uses machine learning. So like, for instance, like somebody always has one eye closed or something, or some people might have wider eyes or like a more narrow eye profile. I don't think it would see that as like, oh, this person's eyes are closed. It would be like, compared to the other pictures in this burst, which one has like the most white of an eye or the most non-skin color in the eye region. These are assumptions I'm making. So it'd be like, well, you didn't blink in this one based on the 15 we took in a nanosecond. This is the one where you weren't blinking. And it has stuff like, there's like a Google Home station thingy. There's like a smart picture frame that has like all your Google Home stuff, but it also has like pictures. It does like live slideshows, and it can take them from any of your accounts or whatever folders you want to link up. But what it says is it has like some machine learning like in the basis of its programming. So if you took a picture of like a receipt, it's not going to display that because like that's not a photo that wants to be there. Which to me sounds like code for if you took some nudes, they're not going to pop up. Is what I think they were implicitly getting at, because machines can detect that to some degree. But also, you know, just different things like that. It has like a night filtering mode for new cameras on the Pixel 3, which they announced. There's like a new Chromebooks Surface thing. And then some earbuds. You know, they released some new headphones that are wired. So they're like $30. They can do like the live translation thing. They do all the other stuff it could do. They're just not earbuds that are wireless. So nice little event. It's fun. If you like Apple's events, you might as well like watch these and check out what kind of tech Google has. Especially if you're an Apple fan and you want to know what's going to happen with Apple in about 1.5 to 4 years, I would watch the Google event, because you'll see the things that Apple is going to roll out in a few years and act like it's new. Again, people who think that Android's Snapchats are worse than Apple's they don't know why that is. It's a very specific reason, and it's not because Droid has worse cameras. Usually, pound for pound, Google, at least Google phones, have better cameras than iPhone cameras. And the Google technology backs up, just Snapchat doesn't. But that's a whole other thing. It's a whole thing. It's my soapbox.
I just like to be able to have a group chat with my family.
Yeah, that's. And you know what incenses me about that so much is that like Google phones and Droid phones have that capability. They just didn't make you have like a an email address when you sign. Like they didn't link that to your account the same way. Because like Hangouts does that, Messages does that. Like you can do group chats, and it has like all functionality of like Wi-Fi texting. It's just that the reason Apple can do it and Google can't is because Google didn't make you. They didn't put any emphasis on your email address when you got your phone at first. That's so they can't reliably say that, well, this other person will be able to get it via Wi-Fi. We'll let you send it, but we can't ensure that they'll get it because we weren't authoritarian with our practices when we started. We are now, so we don't have the benefits of it, just in downgrades. No, iPhones are solid. Like I have nothing bad to say about them. I just like what I have, you know. I just don't think it's bad is all. I'm just sticking up for George.
How dare you like the things you've already paid, that you've bought and rely on? Like,
I didn't have to keep buying it though. That's on me.
How dare you continue to be happy with your brand purchase?
But brand loyalty is it's so bad. Like, I don't want to be loyal to a brand. Like, and I wonder if we would be if we had the features if we went somewhere else. You know, like would people be committed to Apple versus Google? If I'm like, you know what? I'm an iPhone user and I want to get a Google phone, but I don't want to lose any of the functionality. Like, would people still stay with Apple? Like, I don't think any of us are as brand loyal as we have to be. Like, would someone want a PS4 if they could play Spider-Man on Xbox One? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Like, that brand loyalty is not because Sony's necessarily a better company than Xbox. It is this cycle, but it certainly wasn't before. So, like, these are all false identities. I've been watching a lot of, like, lefty YouTube recently. Speaking of lefties and politics, let's jump into this last topic. You want to tee this off for me?
Yeah. So
I've been talking so long, I need a break.
No, it's cool. So Taylor Swift dropped what I'm colloquially referring to as my favorite Taylor Swift song, although it was just an Instagram comment.
Nice.
So Taylor Swift, 2 years too late, finally decided to have an opinion about politics. At least she had the right opinion. She came out and said, I've been keeping quiet for a long time, but I really think this midterm election is important, and I'm registered in Tennessee, in my hometown, and I'm going to be voting for the Democratic candidate because even though, he's a man and the Republican is a woman, and I would prefer to have women in office, everything she does is bad, so I'm voting for this other guy. And I encourage you to vote, to research and vote in your own things too. And she was I support LGBT rights, I support I'm anti-police brutality, etc., etc. So and it was oh, Taylor has an opinion, and it's a weird weird juxtaposition against Kanye.
Who would have thought?
Since like they've been like the two like figureheads in this like weird pop culture battle for ages.
And like, who would have thought this is where we were going to be?
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I want to say that I live in a universe. Someone said Kanye's just acting out because Obama caught him a jackass a few years ago. And I would like, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not trying to attribute anything positive Taylor's doing to what a man has done. But I would like this narratively, in the movie standpoint, that she's like, oh, Kanye wants to be a Republican? Well, fuck Kanye. I'm going to vote for the Democrats. Like, I would like that from a storytelling standpoint. But I think Taylor Swift's ideology in politics has always been, and I don't say this to be like denigrating, has always been like a pro girl power kind of thing.
Very kind of white feminist girl power kind of thing, I feel like.
Absolutely. So I think it's even more, it's nicer to see like, not evolved per se, but like sort of a semi-evolved, like you're not quite Blastoise, but you're not Squirtle anymore. So War Turtle level politics where like, you know, I can't support a woman who holds other women down.
Yeah.
Is like at least like,
it's a step in the right direction on the path to true enlightenment for Tay.
Yeah, that's what I would say, and you know that makes me happy to see, and you know, she has a lot of influence over people, and you know, so it's good to see that some people may have registered to vote, because of her. So that's good. Some government man had the hottest wrong take. He was like, "Oh yeah, this would be a thing if like 13-year-old girls could vote," and I'm like, "Yo, you're like that may like." So first off, bad week to be a misogynist. Every week's bad to be a misogynist, but particularly this week's like that's a particularly scathingly hot take.
Yeah.
But also like that take doesn't make sense right now because if Taylor Swift when she came out had 13-year-old girl fans 5+ years ago, those girls can all vote now, and not her and her fans aren't just 13-year-olds. They're like adults now, boys and girls and every gender. So like that was a bad take and like a wrong take and an unuseful take.
Yeah.
And basically just speaks to
everything
being
about
scared.
that was wrong.
Yeah, it just speaks to being scared because you don't say that shit when you know you're gonna win. So that was very cool, and you know a lot of people have registered to vote, so that's good. Any celebrity who can get people to do decent things is helping out, so that's good. So
like every app that exists, like I log into like fucking Coffee Meets Bagel or OkCupid, like I feel like my like Twitter's trying to get me to register to vote. Like I feel like my Solitaire app was trying to get me to register to vote the other day. Like
I don't know what's going on, but like even YouTube, and I'm like, well, if YouTube's telling people to vote, like that's I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing. For my personal politics, but like every app is like, yo, you registered to vote. I'm like, yeah, I am now. Like I was before, and now I checked like 5 times.
Yeah, like I already voted actually. Like
yeah, so I finally fixed my address, so I don't have to like drive real far to vote. I've learned a lot about voter ID stuff too, because I was always wondering like, yeah, I know these policies like are in bad faith, but like. What exactly is bad about this?
Why are they in bad faith? Yeah.
Yeah, and I found out that you know there's certain so yeah, I don't think you can necessarily. I don't know if you ever were able to vote without an ID before. Like I think you always do need some way to identify that it's you. But what they have done is
just show up and say this is my name or like this is my name or my address or whatever, and they find me in the book. And
yeah, that's what I do too. So I don't know if it's ever something you needed. Necessarily, but I think it's always something they could have asked you for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was is what I found out that some of these rules were specifically getting rid of certain IDs.
Yeah, like not letting you use like a WIC card or something like that, like something that denotes lower economic status.
Yeah, something that they know specifically is going to disproportionately affect marginalized people. Because yeah, if you are low income and live in the city, why would you have a driver's license? Yeah. I mean, you could be, I wouldn't say wealthy, but you can be doing pretty well for yourself and not have a driver's license. Like I know people that don't have driver's licenses. They might have IDs, but they certainly don't have licenses. And if you're like, oh yeah, I have this card, you know, that says I'm like in low income living, and it's been an ID where I could buy alcohol or purchase a firearm or do any other thing that you need an ID for. I've been able to use this for every other facet of my life. Now, why can't I use this here?
Yeah.
It's like because they said you can't, specifically because they knew you wouldn't be able to. So, you get informed about all this stuff, everybody. Please make decisions for your votes, especially if you live in some rural areas. You're doing local elections. I know in southwestern PA, sometimes people just pick a party because they don't want to look bad. Like the area I'm from, I've seen Republicans, they're registered Republican, and all their beliefs and what they're saying aligns with Democrats. And I've seen Democrats that are very much Republicans, but they pick the Democratic Party because it's a local elections and it doesn't matter on that big of a scale, I guess. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. So just look up your people and go vote and be useful.
Vote all the way down the ticket.
Yeah, pick up everything. And for what it's worth, I don't know where you live, but look up the information, like what the propositions might be, because sometimes these are very purposely obtusely worded, so that people will make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
That aren't informed about it.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing,
for Pennsylvania, there's no referendum on the ballot, but like there was a weird referendum last election that was like, do you want to like change the age when judges retire to 75? And like, but it didn't give any context for it. And when you looked it up, you found out that the age when judges have to retire is currently 70. So like, you think like, oh well, you're making them retire at 75, so that should be good. Like otherwise, it's a lifetime appointment or something like that. Like you don't know, but then you look it up and find out that changing it would actually like be worse or something like that. So like things like that, like
yeah. So look that stuff up. It's always worded in a way so that the people who have already researched it can make an informed decision, and then it's just a toss up between the uninformed people. And I remember there was one that was kind of like, do you believe that it should not be illegal to not have certain like weed in this kind of thing under certain circumstances? I'm like, I don't even know what a yes would say at this point. Like, so like you have to sit there and do like algebra and sit there and like cross off knots so that you could see the sentence, and like every time you cross off knot, switch like your yes and answer.
Out, like, yeah, it's like you're like canceling out an equation.
Yeah, and it's just purposely worded bad. Like, so just look that stuff up before you can, especially if you have any special interests. If you don't, you could probably vote along party lines. But it's always better to be more informed. So you know our stance here pretty well. But if you do disagree with our politics, reach out and ask us, because chances are you think we're not bad people. We're not that big of a podcast yet. So I assume you'd be reaching out in good faith. So ask us why we think the things we mean. Or ask somebody you're like, hey, I was raised to think this, or I've always thought this, but it seems like a lot of people I respect say that I'm wrong for that, or people are wrong. Why is that? Do the research.
Let's start a dialogue.
Yeah. If you want to start a dialogue, it's always good to start a dialogue and ask people, why am I wrong? Not like, why are you wrong? Why are you right? Ask yourself, what's wrong with what I'm saying? I think that's sometimes a good reason. That's a good way to inspect yourself. And you don't have to agree. I know people that have had good open dialogues across the aisle. They come away
not agreeing.
They come away not agreeing, but like, I see what you're saying, and currently my ideas will benefit me with not necessarily doing a lot of harm to other people, and yours will do the same, so I'm going to stick with mine. But if it changes, I'll change, kind of thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I have, coming into, coming into my, current political views as an adult, having been raised with the opposite views, I feel like I definitely, understand a lot more where people are coming from than someone who was raised, in a liberal household and is like, I can't believe why they would think that, and be like, well, I know why they think that. I used to think it myself. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, and that's always what bothers me. People always want to say, oh, you're an entitled liberal. You're one of those coastal elites. I'm like, first off, bro, no part of Pennsylvania is coastal except maybe near Philly, where it's almost Jersey, and even then, that's not really a coast of anything. Secondly, I grew up in South, like I grew up with you, so like you knew what my life was like, and you saw me not like have like my family would be more left than right for sure, but my parents were also raised like in the time they were raised, so it's not like their views were like they're definitely opening up as society opens up, but they weren't. My parents weren't like radical leftists. Were like fight the power. They were like, hey, we're just trying to survive, you know, like. And I saw people in the coal mines. I saw people in the steel mills. I saw the world we grew up in. So when I'm like, hey guys, I know you think lefty SJWs want to like do this and like to destroy the white man, but like when they say destroy the white man, they're not saying that. You think people are, and they just mean give women and people of color or people of color a chance. Whereas the Republicans are saying, oh yeah, it's that black guy's fault you're poor. Now here's tax cuts for the rich that don't trickle down. Like that, this won't like, help you. Like, so when I say I know where you're coming from, I know where you're coming from. I went to school with you and I saw the advantages and disadvantages that both of us had, and I'm telling you, it's in both our interests.
There's like an article that's going around that I think is really I haven't read it, but the headline is just so spot on. It's like Trump's greatest strength is claiming victimhood and stealing it away from actual victims, something like that. Like claiming victimhood where there is none. Like
I saw that somewhere. I shared something like that. Yeah, and that's really what it is. I don't know what that article was, but it's a very insidious thing. It's a powerful tool when you can basically say, you know, with the Kavanaugh stuff, like, oh man, like, not only did he like take the actual victimhood away from Dr. Ford and put it on Kavanaugh, but then he took it away from Kavanaugh and still somehow made it about himself and all the people in his base. Yeah. It's like, look, you're really in trouble here. And like, well, even if you take the very obviously false and shitty belief that I think Dr. Ford was lying and tried to hurt Brett Kavanaugh's career, like that's not true. But even then, that still has nothing to do with Trump or anybody else. So like, you made a false claim against Dr. Ford, like you said she was a liar, and then like made that into something that helps you, and like you weren't even involved with this. Like, this is just you spinning.
And like a week ago, you said that her story was credible.
Yeah, so like you're just and that's a very powerful thing, you know. And people say the left wants to be victims, and oftentimes we are. That's why we say these things. And I understand I've seen videos on this, the allure of being marginalized. You know what I mean? There's some identity that people feel that there is when they're not actually in that position. They see some sort of something to, people like to root for underdogs and sometimes be the underdog. But it's not worth creating false equivalences for, like, these people aren't victims. Men aren't under attack right now. And even if they were, it has never been successful. I have not seen a single man's career ruined by credible sexual assault allegations, let alone false ones. So I don't. Ironically, the only people whose lives are ruined by false allegations tend to be marginalized men, usually. And they're very rare, and we hear about them, and the women who do this get in trouble for it. Like, so it's not that it's an unpunishable crime. Other than, like, I guess what like Emmett Till and stuff is the famous example. But we don't tend to do anything about that. We don't point out that there's a racial dynamic as to why this is happening, because it's a form of patriarchy that says if we can have a level of fragility on our women, the white patriarchy will say, then we can use that to further marginalize women and people like white women, and then people of color as a whole, because it's a whole messed up calculus of stuff that people don't address. While saying, oh, every man's under attack now. And it's like, no, we're not. And the few guys that were black guys, and no one did anything about it till like 26 years after the fact. So yeah, I don't think Brett Kavanaugh's life would have been ruined if he just didn't make it to Supreme Court. Like, he still would have been a very important judge.
It's still like, yeah, so, he's still a judge, and it wasn't even like that. Like the deep like misunderstanding of the fact that like the like willful misunderstanding of the fact that this wasn't a criminal trial, it was a job interview. Like, doesn't matter if he's, like, everything else aside, like, if I yelled and asked the person interviewing me if they had ever gotten blackout drunk in a job interview, I don't think I'd get the job.
Yeah,
like, and I wouldn't deserve to get the job.
Like, that's the particularly damning part about this is, again, let's go off the false and horrible premise that Dr. Ford was lying. Like, let's take that as let's say that there's some validity to that. That has no bearing on the fact that, like, Brett Kavanaugh showed himself to be wholly unfit. Like, well, I mean, I guess he's fit for what they want him to do, is to be a piece of shit. But, like, he's wholly unqualified, like, as any kind of temperamental. He's not what they claim to want, you know, as a qualified person. So then you add in the fact that I don't believe that Dr. Ford has any reason to lie. Somebody pointed out, like, you know, if you really think people are doing this out of, like, some reason to get fame or money or something, like, name me one of Bill Cosby's victims.
Yeah,
and there was many, so, like, just name one.
Name one of those, like, 53 women.
Yeah, and the chances are you can't. And his career wasn't ruined by this anyway. Like, yeah, he went to jail,
his career is done.
His career was pretty much over at this point anyway. Like, this was completely,
just, like, belated justice.
This was just basically, like, I think it's something that should be said while there's still time to say it, you know. But, well, why didn't people report earlier? Like, you can make I don't know. You could be like, I didn't want to ruin someone's career, quote unquote, but I wanted justice to be served, so now I'm saying it. But people won't, like, it's just a way to shut down people, and it really makes me sick. It's very disingenuous and nonsense. So yeah, thanks to Taylor Swift to getting people registered to vote, so many people go out and vote. So, long story short, yeah, believe survivors, listen to women.
Vote.
I saw something, and this is to put a nice bow on it. Someone said when we say believe survivors, it's not an indictment of saying that automatically means that they're right. It just means that an investigation should occur. Same as any other crime. If I say, hey, someone took $5 out of my wallet, it could turn out that I'm right. It could turn out that I'm lying. It could turn out that there's no way for us to know, right?
Yeah.
And that it's, you know, I think that's often what happens if most of these things would go to court, is that, like, we believe you, but there's literally no way for us to prove that because XYZ, that's just how the law works. It's shitty, it sucks. But you would still look into it. You'd be like, well, where were you the day that this happened? Like, were you where you said you were? We have video footage. You said you were at 7-Eleven. You don't appear to have been at any 7-Eleven. You appear to have been in the state. Your car was, we saw on a security cam parked outside of the victim's house. Seems like we have a lot of reason to believe this, like, or, you know, or hey, you have a plane ticket for not being there, so this doesn't seem credible. Again, not to say it didn't happen, but it seems like we can't prove it. That's all people are asking for, and
all you need.
Yeah, just give it the gravitas that it calls for. You know, that's I think that's all people are really asking for, is to give it a chance. Like, the same with these cops that shot all these black people. Had they gone to court, like, as much as I hate how the verdict with George Zimmerman went out, and I think it was bullshit that that's how the law is able to work, one could make the claim, this went to court, and, you know, people pulled the evidence, they had their lawyers. I think the lawyer did a bad job, personally, but, you know, the process went the way it's supposed to go, and one could claim this was the just outcome. I don't believe that, but one could claim that. If these victims actually got their day in court, and we tried to, well, the criminals got their day in court, I guess is the way you say it, and we're like, you know what, we can't definitively say anything. We tried. I think a lot more people would be happy, you know, like, if we tried to serve justice and the system was working as it says it's supposed to be intended. Yeah. And that takes away the, oh, well, what if somebody accused me of something I didn't do? It's like, well, then nothing will happen to you. You know, your life will go on, and we'll say, yeah, nothing happened. But we're not even getting the bare minimum, so I think that's why people are upset. As somebody who has not personally been a victim of this, I can't speak from personal experience and fear, but I can say we could at least try to make things right by doing what we said we were going to do. Yeah. It's a long one day, but yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I rambled today. There was a lot going on. I had a lot of feelings to put out into the universe.
It's okay. You're good. You're good.
You got anything else, Steph?
No, I just think we should hit that social media biz.
Let's hit the biz. You want me to do it? You want to do it? What do we got?
I got it. If you want to find us, I'll give your vocal cords a break for a second.
Thank you so much. I have a tendency to ramble.
You're fine. I like when I agree with you, I have no reason to jump in. So if you want to find us on the internet, like if you're hearing this, you're probably already subscribed to us. But if you're not, hit that subscribe button on your podcast catcher of choice. If you are on iTunes, you could leave us a review, get us some stars, give us some comments, let us know how you're feeling about it. You could also find us on Twitter at Captain Steph, that's me, at Brother Dom, that's Dom, at Character Rev, that's the podcast. You can find the podcast on Facebook at Character Reveal. You can find Brother Dom you can find Dom at Brother Dom pretty much anywhere else on the internet. You can find me on Tumblr at The Snow Queer. You can find me on Instagram at Hella Stuff. Oh, I'm getting dry. And you can listen to this podcast in your browser by going to characterreveal.simplecast.fm. And I think that's about it.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, listeners, thanks so much for listening. I'm just watching a clip, Amazing World of Gumball Halloween episode, and there's a lot of references in that too.
Nice.
Cartoon Network is a good network. Yeah, listeners, thanks for listening to another episode. We hope you are enjoying what we're doing. Like always, check out Character Reveal proper when it arrives back. Catch the Geekly Reveals. Go in the archives if you like. Check out Finding 5 O'Clock. It's a lovely podcast.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And we will be live again next week if you're listening to this live. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this today, it should probably be like around the...
Today being Wednesday.
Yeah, if you're listening to this when it comes out on the catcher, I guess. We probably might not record this week. We'll be out of town. There's like a 2-week delay on these based on... Because we have a nice backlog stuff.
Yeah.
So we may not. I don't know what happened, but if we do record, it'll be earlier in the day and for shorter. Who knows? We'll let you all know. But thanks for listening. And until next time, see y'all later.
Bye.